Is this the scariest Star Wars species? Hello and welcome to Vault Holocron. I'm Jonathan, and today we will be discussing the Fexian Skullborers, a deadly species which weren't to be messed with. The Fexian Skullborers were a small species which lived in the trees of the moon Fex, and their diet consisted of brains. The species had 6 limbs with clawed fingers which they'd use to grab onto their prey, a large snout with a feeding tube inside for sucking out their victims' brains, a ring of teeth which could rotate and even penetrate strong armor like a drill, a layer of crystalline in their snout, which was about as hard as diamond, a ring of eyes around their head, 16 poisonous spikes on their back to poison anything who tried to lift them off of its head, and full body camouflage. They were also very lightweight, with thin bones, but their skeleton was very strong. The Fexian Skullborers were the apex predators of the moon Fex, meaning that they were at the top of the food chain. In fact, they were so effective at hunting that their prey even adapted to have crystalline structures or horns fall on the top of their heads, or cavities in their bodies to hide their heads inside. The way the Fexian Skullborers hunted was by using the trees to drop on their prey from above, hiding in certain spots to prevent prey from smelling them. On top of this, the Skullborers were thought to be semi-sentient, being able to adapt their behaviour in order to capture prey or avoid being captured. Anyway, now that I've covered what a Fexian Skullborer was, I'm briefly going to cover the story about Fexian Skullborers from Heir to the Jedi, which is the book they were introduced in, and as of making this video, the only Star Wars media to include this fascinating species. Not long after the Battle of Yavin, at the end of A New Hope, a zoological research company called Canon Biolabs discovered the Shar-Karot system, an uninhabited system which the planet of Shar-Karot was located in. Upon discovering the system, the company decided to research the system, which led them to the moon of Fex, which orbited Shar-Karot. They believed that the moon could be great for future medications, and that it may be very useful for biological research. Canon Biolabs sent a team of scientists to Fex to collect samples and investigate the ecosystem of the moon. While the team was there, 3 scientists left the ship together to explore, walking through the forest. These scientists were a Biff called Pryban, a Joros called Hafner, and a human. As the 3 of them were walking, a Fexian Skullborer dropped on Pryban's head. Pryban rushed to grab whatever it was on his head, but was stabbed by the poisonous spines. Meanwhile, the other 2 scientists were confused, being unable to see the Fexian Skullborer, and so, not knowing what to do. Pryban then dropped to the ground. After this, a Fexian Skullborer landed on the human's head, who figured out that Hafner should stun his head to stop the creature. Hafner didn't react in time though, and the human also fell to the ground. Once Hafner stunned the human on the ground, the Fexian Skullborer became visible due to the stun, and so, Hafner looked at it and documented the creature. Another Fexian Skullborer soon came though, attacking Hafner. In response, Hafner called the ship, the Harvester, to collect him and the crew, and then stunned himself. However, the Harvester didn't arrive in time, and the Fexian Skullborers awoke and ate the scientist's brains. Footage of these events were recorded on the trio's holocams, which informed Canon Biolabs of what had happened. With this knowledge, the company decided to return to Fex to capture some Fexian Skullborers so that they could study them. Canon Biolabs wanted to examine the creatures' snouts and also the toxins in their spines on their backs. This time Canon Biolabs were more prepared though, and sent a team of 5 which had very strong helmets and stun sticks. With these measures in place, the company successfully caught 10 Fexian Skullborers and brought them back to the ship. However, this mission also went downhill very quickly when 5 of the monsters dug through the glass of their containers using their snouts. The creatures then moved around the ship, killing all but one of the crew, who'd removed their helmets after capturing the Fexian Skullborers. Fayette Kellen, the founder of Kellen Biolabs, didn't give up here though, sending more people to Fex. This time, he sent the 2 rebels, Luke Skywalker and Nakari Kellen, who was his daughter. Luke and Nakari were given stun sticks and even more powerful head armor in order to go to the ship, the Harvester, and return it, its crew, and the Skullborers. When the pair were investigating the ship, the creatures were discovered in the medical bay. One of the Fexian Skullborers landed on Luke's head, and he quickly stunned it with his stun stick. After this, another 2 of the creatures jumped onto Luke's visor, which was a weak point of the helmet. The second of these Fexian Skullborers actually died as it landed, due to landing on the spines of the first one. However, this actually wasn't helpful for Luke, who now couldn't stun the creature attacking him. This situation here made Luke consider that the Fexian Skullborers may actually understand the concept of sacrificing themselves for a greater purpose, like preventing the capture of another Fexian Skullborer. After finding the stun stick unusable in this case, Luke pulled his blaster out and shot the Fexian Skullborers on his face. Nakari then entered and shot the initial Skullborer, which Luke had stunned. The 2 remaining Fexian Skullborers in the room then adapted their strategy, this time attacking Nakari's hands, which they knew had just been used to kill others of their species. However, Nakari reacted quickly and effectively, killing these 2 Fexian Skullborers. Luke and Nakari then brought the Harvester, the surviving crew member from the previous team, and the dead and alive Fexian Skullborers to the Kellen Biolabs base on the planet Pasha. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this dive into this terrifying, yet mostly unknown species, and we hope to see you later at Vault Holocron.